There are only fleeting moments where I actually feel talented. And there are almost there are egoic moments where I perhaps indulge some of the adoration that comes and goes in a career in music, or a career where you're like have a public job, you know. But I've recognized those egoic moments or those flattering moments as potentially they can be flattering and fun, or they can be dangerous too. So I've kind of learned to not take them too seriously. The way I look at it is I deeply enjoy making things. I deeply enjoy finding pictures and faces and familiar shapes in amongst piles of chaotic watercolor and ink spill, and I love listening to the kind of like daily melange of noises that creep in through my windows where I live, and you can organize sort of coherent sounds out of that kind of seeming chaos. And I realized that from the time I was very young, since I can remember actually. I would sit quietly and listen to, there's actually a word that I learned yesterday on a TED video. This scientist, this earth scientist, was recording the natural sounds of unaffected landscapes that hadn't been interfered with by man. And there's a term called, it creates a biophony. It's a symphony of the biosphere, or biophony. And I heard it and I was like, that is such a cool word. I mean, that's kind of what I listen into. But there's also the anthrophony, which is the human-made noise. And I listen into that as well, but I see it as equally fascinating, because we're animals as well. We just don't see ourselves as such that often. But since I was very, very, very young, making sounds, I learned to whistle very young from my dad, and I probably annoyed my brothers and my friends, making noises, you know, with whistles, but then drawing as well. So from a very young age. Yes, there's a relative ego that you have to allow in order to be able to go out on stage and stand in front of sometimes tens of thousands of people and be like, listen to me, and say it into a microphone. And the way that I kind of have done that is almost by allowing a role to emerge. We all have a handful of personalities that drift around in us at any given point, and we usually quiet them down for sort of polite social circumstances. But then, you know, there's this potential to have other voices emerge, and it's interesting what those other voices say and want to say, and some of them want to be heard more than others. So I've learned to employ this role. It's sort of this, it's not so much entertainer, it's more like this outspoken poet who's putting the poems to melody and to rhythm and things like that. And what's funny is that when I'm just like this, like you and I, or having a conversation with a family member, or at like a family gathering or a friend's gathering, and friends pull out guitars and stuff like, here, play a song, man, you can sing, like you do this all the time. And it's like the furthest thing from my desire. It doesn't fit with my like everyday state, though I love to do it. And occasionally, if there's probably enough booze or whatever involved, I'll pick it up and play, like, you know, I'll hack through a Prince song or something like that. I'll never do one of my own songs because it feels weird. It just feels strange. But then you change the context enough, and you put it in the right context, and all of a sudden this other voice sort of has learned to come up and out, and it's fun. But then when I'm done, I walk off stage, it's sort of, I go right back to the other thing. So does that make sense? Like there's a time and a place.